Hey, welcome back. Season 2, number 17, Corey, Cattle Drive Live,
Yeah.
in South Dakota.
Hey, it's warming up here, Brett.
Warming up. What'd you do? Did you finally have to wear no jacket today or what?
Yeah, I wore a long sleeve shirt today, and about halfway through the day, I was regretting it.
You did?
Oh yeah.
Gotcha. See, you guys,
Yep.
yeah, get you some of them pants have the zippers in the legs, and like at lunch, you could unzip your legs and just wear your shirt. Get
Put
you
the high
some.
pants on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's that way here too. It decided to go ahead and get warm, but it's okay.
Yeah.
So, hey, big episode, much anticipated night. We get Brandon Horn and Wade Rodgers. Um, get
We're gonna
to
go over the last couple bulls of what I guess the industry told us are the
yeah.
leading sires of the industry.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know, I tell you what, you about got to be under a rock to not hear the bulls that we're going to talk about tonight.
You
Um,
know.
I'd say they're proving themselves by a mile. So,
Absolutely.
but yeah, and we get to listen. Melissa's with us tonight. With 605 Sires and Donors. We're going to get to visit with her after a while too. Talk about high quality semen and what is it? What actually goes into to
Yeah.
making quality semen, right?
Yeah, I just, like I told her there, just, people kind of hear terms getting thrown around by different bull studs, kind of dig in just a little bit on morphology and motility and what goes into to making high quality semen and kind of some of the problems that we see with some of the bulls, in terms of that quality and just kind of dig in on a little bit of that.
Right, exactly. Yep. Our episode tonight brought by 605, and as you can tell, the episode here is steer bidder Chris and Ashlyn Rosa wanting to be a little part of this thing. We'll appreciate them. We'll get in and talk about steer bidder here in just a minute, but the drivemarketing.com is up and going. It's our new website. We're pretty proud of. If you want to know how you can become involved with Cattle Drive Live or the Drive Marketing, go to the drivemarketing.com, and from there you can learn more about Corey and I and my wife and Paige and see what's there offered in terms of marketing and advertising. So segment one, let's get rolling. Coffee shop, current events within ag. Kennedy Ventures has a big sale coming up here in June. Seemed like it's crashed a little bit lately in terms of there was 3 sales a night. Now we're starting to get into selling some
Yep.
red acres, and this exchange that the Kennedys put together is unique, Corey.
Yeah, and I was just talking to Todd about this sale last week. They're going to have it. Yeah, it says that they're at the Hard Rock Casino and Hotel there in Tulsa this year. And boy, they are, Todd and Blake Kennedy, they are fired up about this offering here. Just a great group of guys that kind of head up that sale. And the neat thing about it is they take all the proceeds that they raise off the commission off that sale, and they put it right back into the hog, cattle, goat, sheep industries, and they pour it right back into it. So I think that's a neat deal they got going on there, and been a lot of success with that sale the last few years for sure.
You bet. It's tremendous, the exchange of genetics that you can have the opportunity, and some of them are so elite. It'll blow your mind at some of the opportunities that you'll have multiple species that day. So, hey, we got a guest with us tonight. It's pretty proud and pumped up of something that he's starting in West Texas. I guess the Panhandle. I don't even know if you'd say it's West Texas, but Laramie Priest is with us tonight for just a minute. Hi, Laramie.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. Good, man. As with all things going on in your life, if you follow you on Snapchat, you're trading show steers or fat cattle. I don't know what you got going on each day, but you're busy.
It just depends on the day. Now it's show steer selling a little slow, so now we're fat cattle buying for me and Dad. So busy.
There you go. Good. Hey, tell
Very
us
busy.
about the buff branding that's coming up in Amarillo, the 27th to the 29th of May.
Yeah, man, it's something that we're really excited about up here in the Panhandle. I talked to a bunch of the guys that showed a bunch of cattle last year down there at Plainview and Levelland, and they're just wanting to have another show up here to get their calves out. It's hard for us to travel 8 hours just to take your calf in the middle of the summer. So we're trying to do something to help out the Panhandle guys up here and do a full fit deal. No rules, let you class your own calf, open up to all states. That way it's all kind of, just get there, show your calf, let your kids get involved, let them learn how to fit and clip a little bit more. Because down here in Texas, it's great to go blow and go, but every now and then it's always a pain when it comes to Fort Worth time. You can't find any kids that can get down and fit a leg unless they're from the Midwest. So kind of teach these kids how to do it. We're going to put on a little clinic and stuff. Got some real good judges coming down. We're going to have a steer and heifer show. Heifers will show Saturday, steers will show Sunday. So really looking forward to it. It's going to be great there at the Tri-State Fairgrounds. So it's going to be incredible,
Awesome.
I hope. So
Yeah, without a
something
doubt.
new. And then we kind of got involved with WT. I was planning on just doing it myself and then putting it on and just kind of hosting it. But with the help with Lonnie Luchek down there at WT and her husband, Cody, we get to kind of have some help, and all the funds and everything will go to the judging team and the judging programs there at WT. So kind of give back to the community a little bit. So it's going to be a real good thing, I hope. So be awesome.
Awesome. Hey, you talked about that fitting deal down in Texas. I mean, there's a show. A guy told me you can get in the pickup on a Thursday afternoon, and you can show them things from Thursday to school time Monday morning in the state of Texas every weekend.
Oh yeah, for sure. Heck, there was just one down in Brenham just last week, and I think that Texas Youth Expo was a big hit down there. Another full fit show. I think we're going to be the first one up here in the Panhandle, kind of try to do it right before it gets hot. Let everyone kind of get their bigger steers out, give them an opportunity to get them out, and get them Fort Worth items out before they start shucking hair, because it's going to be coming quite quickly.
Awesome. Good deal. Hey, earlier we've mentioned that tonight's episode is brought to us by Steer Bidder. That's something that you know a little bit about, isn't it?
Yeah. So a long time ago, me and Chris got hooked up down there at Jacob Tusa's, and I've been a Steer Bidder guy for life. He's helped me out immensely. Just through my operation. I know people across the country. I mean, they do an incredible job. He's, I think, one of the absolute very best at picture taking and video taking. I think he does an incredible job marketing. I like it because you can talk to one guy. He's handling the whole thing, from the pictures to the videos to the sale night. Him and Ashley just do an incredible job. And then, it's helped me out quite a bit. Just kind of gets in the, have their group of people that they market to. And it's obviously just a huge base that they have, that they have there at Steer Bidder. And they know when you log on to Steer Bidder, the quality is usually going to be pretty good. I mean, the people that he gets to be on there is some of the absolute best, and it's all just a privilege to get to be on there with them. And then when it gets to being, those live auctions between this Share the Brand that we're fixing to have down in June, and then that Dakota Classic up there with those live auctions, he just does an incredible job at, heck, you can picture them cattle, and he'll have the pictures done that night, pictures and videos, and you can have your cell loaded that night, the day he does it. I mean, it's pretty impressive to have someone that can do such a good job on that side of things, because you can kind of push it all the way back to picture them cattle. That way they look their best right there before sale day, and you're not going to be late because he's going to get it done, because he's going to try to help you out the best he can.
Yeah. That's a good deal. They sent me a list. Thursday, May 12th, Brock Welsh's show cattle and bull sales coming up. England show stock is coming up. Go to Meller Show Cattle has an embryo sale. May Cattle Company an embryo sale. Tusa's coming up the 17th. Webster's having a bull and bred heifer sale. And then you hit in June 4th, Share the Brands. It's a live auction. It's in College Station that Steer Bidder manages.
Yeah, it's a sale that us and Brian Martin, Corey Marsh, Jake Frankie, Jeff Jackson, and Carl Muntean are all part of. It's going to be an incredible set of cattle. We actually got our proof for the catalog tonight, so if we can all get our stuff finalized, it'll be out tonight or at first thing in the morning. And it's going to be a sale for the year, I think. I mean, the quality runs deep, cattle are deep, and obviously Steer Bidder and Chris doing a phenomenal job putting it together and marketing it. So if you got any questions, give us a call or give Steer Bidder a call, because it'll be one you don't want to miss.
Good deal. Laramie, thanks for being on. Good luck with the buff branding, and take care out there.
Appreciate it.
Take care, Laramie.
You bet.
You bet.
Hey man, West Texas was hot last week too. CCI.live had a sale out there, Hereford, Texas. Dr. Mims, Corey, the Donors Unlimited.
You bet. Yep, Dr. Mims, that's definitely one to look for out in that country. 111 females grossed 621,500 to average $6,000. 14 pregnancies averaged 8450. 32 embryo lots averaged 5,200. 200 lots grossed 909,250 to average 4546.
Yeah, you bet. Good sale. It's an important sale in this business, and obviously, guys are still excited to buy these things. So,
You bet.
hey, got another guest with us tonight. It is Boss Lady at 605 Sires, isn't it?
Oh,
Miss
yeah.
is with us tonight.
I've been called worse.
It depends on if it's collection day or payday, right?
It depends.
Awesome. Melissa, good to have you.
Thank you. Great to be here, guys.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I want to take just a minute and say thanks for tying to us for the year and being a part of what Corey and I and Paige and Lacey's little adventure here, being a part of us for the year. We do appreciate that. So.
Oh, it's been fun watching you guys grow.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. I've been excited, Corey. I'm going to let you kind of run with this because I'm going to ask the wrong question, but I'm excited to listen and learn about semen quality.
Well, yeah, I just thought tonight, Melissa, being juror, she is the jury, the judge, and the executioner when it comes to the bull stud in terms of the semen quality. Tell us a little bit, because I didn't know a lot of this going into it. Tell us a little bit about the terminologies that we use on a daily basis and kind of what they mean to what you're looking at underneath the microscope.
Sure. So yeah, I do all the microscope work. I do the initial looking at the sample and seeing whether or not it should go to freeze. But the terminology we use is, the first one is motility, and there's two different kinds of motility. There's motility progressive, we call it, that the sperm cell goes from one side of the stream to the other. That's what we want, because that's going to get directly to your egg. There's also general motility, where they can be moving, but they're really not going anywhere. So honestly, I really care about progressive motility, and that's what we measure a lot at. And then it goes on to morphology. So morphology is how the sperm cell is made. So there can be problems with the heads, there can be problems with the tails, there can be problems with the midsections. And a lot of the words we use are droplets. So you'll have proximal droplets and you'll have distal droplets. And that's just the shedding of the exoskeleton around the head, and it sheds down the tail. And so distal droplets and that's just it's a gauge on how old the sperm cell is. So the droplet, if they have a droplet, it means that they're probably not mature enough to get the job done. So that's why droplets are usually a problem on younger bulls. So we really worry about proximal droplets. They're the ones right behind the head. Distal droplets, we can be a little bit more lenient on those, because sometimes they'll just they'll do away with themselves by the time they reach where they need to go.
Yeah.
In a very general layman's terms.
Yeah. And how are the bulls? I mean, I kind of know the ones that I deal with on a daily basis. How do you think the bulls are doing in general this year?
Well, it was a really good February and March for us, because up here in our area and for most of the country, we had a good winter. So if you have a nice mild winter with not a lot of ups and downs in temperatures, we didn't deal with a lot of infections or a lot of white cells that we usually have in those yearling bulls that come in. So it was a great February and March. Our April was kind of up and down because of the weather patterns. So when that low pressure system comes in, like when we get rainy days or a low pressure hygrometer drop, the quality drops with it. So the had lots of highs and lows, and that really indicates semen quality. And it showed today. We had a huge change in our temperature, and our southern bulls loved it. We got our southern bulls going. Those Oklahoman bulls, they were doing awesome today. But the bulls in North Dakota and South Dakota, they thought it was a little hot today. So it's going to take them a couple days to adjust, and they will. It'll be fine. They'll be fine next week. But that first swing in temperature is always going to catch some bulls.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, from a guy, I'd obviously be somebody who does quite a bit of embryo transplant work. You hear these guys talk about collections, and you'd say, well, this collection code is this, or this collection code is that. And it really might just be a week apart. Is that what you're referring to right there? Just the littlest change of something
Yes.
can cause a collection to pass and be good enough, but change.
Absolutely. I think the biggest myth out there is once your bull freezes, he's going to freeze that quality every single time. And that's just not, cattle don't do that. Bulls don't do that. They go up and down. You'll have bulls that will have highs and lows. We have a bull here that freezes 400 units one week. He'll freeze 80 units the next week. He'll go another week with no units, and then he'll be back up to 400 units. So it's just that's his rhythm. And so bulls kind of have a rhythm like that too. And there will be definite differences between your collections. There's no question about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's quite. That's just. I've always wondered that. I've always wondered why. Why is it that they go to searching for a certain collection or a certain this or a certain.
Absolutely, especially on those new bulls, those younger bulls, those first few collections. And once they started kind of hitting the stride, but there's going to be some collections that are better than others. Absolutely.
Yeah, and now we're dealing with the your bulls freezing, and tell us a little bit about the difference in semen quality from making conventional units from where you need to be to go to sex semen.
Yeah, so we're dealing with two animals now. So when it goes to sex semen, not only do you have to have an exceptional sample, especially when it comes to morphology, the actual makeup of the sperm cells, because in the straw of your sex semen, there's way less sperm cells in there. So the sperm cells that are in there have to be impeccable, if that makes sense. So we're way tougher on morphology. And then you also have to have a bull that gives you a lot. We need a lot of samples to go through the sorting machine to make some units. So we have, two things that we have to be very specific about. There has to be a good volume, has to be a good concentration, and the morphology has to be excellent, along with motility, obviously. But morphology is way more critical in sex semen.
Yeah.
I didn't know I could sound so smart.
What was that?
I just know I like it a lot better when Melissa doesn't put a line through the semen numbers at the end of the day.
And I like it a lot better when you're happy.
Yeah.
Hey, Melissa, real quick, how many bulls currently do you guys have in-house there at 605?
I'm afraid we're around 130.
130, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
We're overflowing.
Well, overflowing, that's good.
Yes.
That is a good thing. Right. Yep, you good. And foot traffic is probably good this time of year from guys picking up semen or looking at the bulls?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, our April was crazy. Couldn't hardly eat a cookie without having to help somebody do something. But yeah, it's been incredible. And I mean, we have to thank the guys that have brought us an exceptional set of bulls to look at. And we are so thankful and grateful to those producers.
I gotcha. I think he's a little partial, but a comment just come flying in here from Jake Nickel. Glad we finally got a real celebrity on here. Go Mel.
He knows how to piss up.
Oh,
He's not a dumb boy.
What's he looking for?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Gotcha. Well, hey, thanks for being on here tonight. Thanks for visiting with us and giving us a little insight on semen quality.
Absolutely. You guys have a great rest of the show.
We will.
Yeah. Take care. See you tomorrow.
Good stuff, CT. Now we're getting in the big guns. I don't know who's got the bigger gun here. You think?
I don't know.
One would probably not even tell you that he had a gun, and the other one liable to pull two of them on you. So I love them both high quality men outside of the cattle business. They are two guys that I absolutely look up to and hope someday I can be like these guys, just in terms of the kind of people that Brandon and Wade are. But let's welcome in this week's guest. Hi, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Not bad.
Good to be here.
It's good to have you here. So, hey, we're going to get fired up. There's a lot to cover in a short amount of time. Brandon Horn with Horn Livestock, Anson, Texas. Wade Rodgers, Roger Cattle in Searsboro, Iowa. Guys, two buddies I know,
For
partners.
sure on that.
Tell me something. Where did you two cross paths?
Gravel parking lot at Mark Copus's.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Tell the story,
Hey.
Martin. It's a good one.
No,
What's
I'll never forget it. All he wanted to do is talk about a cow or two. Mark said, I got my new kid in here from Iowa. Dan Hogue sent him to me. He said, I think he's going to be a good one. He said, go out there and talk to him. So I grew up around Mark Copus. His dad and my dad taught ag or FFA ag teachers 5 or 6 miles from each other. And my dad passed away at a young age when I was young. And then Mark basically helped continue to allow me to do what I still do today, actually. So I owe a lot of what I do and what I've learned from him. He mentored me along the way. And with that being said, that's where I met Wade. It was pretty small talk, probably the first time we met, but it was in the parking lot there at the barn at Mark's. And then I would slide, say, come through once a week or so, or maybe a couple times a month for sure. And then it led into me kind of buying my first cows, and then Wade interested in buying some cows, and we partnered on a cow. Maybe I don't even remember so much back then. Just what we envisioned of what we thought we wanted them to look like, and what bull heat wave was going to work on, basically. And y'all were talking earlier in the show about that cane code and collection. I would probably venture to say there's probably not a more famous cane code than that yellow top heat wave 418.
Yeah.
Was it 418? Did I get that right?
XX 418. You bet.
Yellow top. They talk
Yellow
about
top,
that yellow top.
Mm-hmm.
I think I still got 10 units of that left.
I got a little in my tank too.
You're saying that was the good stuff.
That was the good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, or Solid Gold wasn't even mated with the good stuff.
So was Walks Alone when I made it.
Yeah, he was mated with the wave on wave is what Solid Gold was.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He was he was the blue top wave on wave.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
But XX418 yellow top, they talk about that famous cane code. You
Oh,
want
yeah.
yellow top if you're going to do some good, they say.
Yeah.
So Wade and I, the cow that I remember the most about there's a guy way down deep South Texas. Wade could probably call you his name. I had a Miss Schwarzkopf cow that had the biggest, fattest legs ever. And she still amazes me to think of her in my mind today, looking at her with the neck and the big fat legs. Anyway, she's a pretty unique animal. I mated her the first time to my first set of Charolais influenced cattle that I made, and that would have been in 2005. Those were born. So
Yeah.
that was the first time I flushed cows to make Charolais cross cattle.
Wade, how did you? Where'd your career start in the business?
Oh man.
Young age or?
Yeah, young age. I started with Brad Hook. Actually, he's one of the first guys I worked for. I just met him at a county fair, and we all know Brad's got a real good gift of gab for sure. He's got a high quality with that. But he come up to me and helped me fit a steer that I had at the county fair. I kind of helped him through the heat seeker days, and then through that I got to know Tracy, and then Russ Harkema when I was in high school. Russ, he had some really good bulls and some stuff going on there at the time.
Oh yeah.
And then in college, I met a buddy of mine, Randy McKinley from Conroe, Texas, and he got me a job there at Copus's. I only made it through college for a year, and I just decided I wanted to get out there and kind of get after it, right, wrong, or indifferent. I kind of wished I'd have finished my degree, but I didn't. And then I got to meet so many people down there at Mark, so many good people that were very influential in what I did, and it just kind of took off from there. I left Mark's and thought I was going to try it on my own, and if it worked, it worked, and if it didn't, we'd do something else. So that's how I kind of got started with everything.
Yeah.
So when you got started, Brandon, I know a little bit, and you can tell people you started, as you said, when you were young. I'll tell you a quick story about Mark Copus. He was telling me that he was talking about you and your influence in this business, and Mark tells me that when your dad had passed away, he come by and picked you up, took you to Oklahoma City. And he said, Brett, I want to tell you something. And I've never heard this story, but Copus said he pulled in to pick you up, take you to Oklahoma City. He said, I pulled that pickup and trailer off the side of the highway there by your mom and dad's. And I guess there was people at your mom's.
Yes, sir.
Visiting.
Mm-hmm.
And he said a little bitty boy come running out of the house, 9 years old, with a backpack and a bag. He's headed to the Club Calf show with me. And he got teary-eyed. And he said, I want to tell you something. That don't make sense until I tell you that I was the same age as Baylor Bonham was when I was picking up Brandon Horn. Now, hair on my neck stood up listening to Hoopy tell that story about he was a kid taking care of you, helping take care of you.
Yes, sir.
He was. He had the nicest thing to say about you, but you left out for a little bit and went and traded pigs, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to Redlands. Graduated high school, played baseball for a year, and did a little livestock judging at Redlands. Then Steve Bonham come into the picture. I cut my hand, couldn't play baseball anymore. He kind of created me a job with about 5 or 6 different customers in the area of El Reno. I went to Redlands, played ball there, and then did a little livestock judging with Ed. And I contacted Steve, Ron Bailey, and Steve helped me after Mark left our area after my dad had passed away. Went to work for Dr. Wise down in Brownwood, Texas. And he was in charge of raising Hilton Wise. And if y'all know Hilton, you'd know what I mean by that. Anyway, so then it was a kind of a neat deal because I think Mark kind of filled in there when Sturwalt left. And then what was pretty neat, we still had cattle, and Ron Bailey and Steve Bonham hadn't started helping us yet. And Sturwalt would come clip our calves because Mark sent him down there to help me and my brother, and Jill, which was same age I am, Mark's sister. He'd come clip our calves. He had left Dr. Wise's and come back home and kind of started his thing as his what now is he's king daddy of all of it, he calls it grooming clinics, and then if you ever talk to Kirk, that's what he calls them, is grooming clinics. And so Kirk helped us quite a bit, but Mark was very influential in helping us do those things. And like I said, Ron, after that following year or two, Ron Bailey actually lived in Abilene, Texas. And lots of folks out there probably know the name. And he used to be B&B Cattle Company. Ron Bailey and Steve Bonham had B&B Cattle Company. They basically started it, and it started at Cordell, where Doc Bonham's barn was. And then they moved it to Steve's at Newcastle, there where the king of the hill there is now, at Newcastle. So those guys started that and was very, very, very influential in my life. I moved to Corpus Christi on a summer job and didn't come home for 7 years. Same as Wade, I continued my education down there, helping a family that Steve had sold some calves to by the name of Bradshaw's. And most of the mistakes that I made in my life was at the expense of that man that's pretty wealthy, and I appreciate him for that. He told me one day, he said, you just need to be lucky that you're learning the high-priced, valuable mistakes at my dollar instead of yours, because one of these days when you have kids, you'll know the right move to make, and it won't cost your dollar, it costs mine. Be proud that I have the money to make this work on your mistakes. And I said, I greatly appreciate it. and this is basically my body's getting tired and wore down daily. And it's part of the reasons from him. Jim Gupton used to trim that man's feet that I had there. And he goes, hey, I know you're only 19 years old, but I'm not going to pay that guy to trim feet anymore. You need to tell him to show you how to do it. And you got to trim these feet. And he's a big farmer as well. He said, I'm not going to pay the price of a commercial feed anymore either. You need to figure out a feed ration so we can feed these calves. They don't give me that kind of money for my bushels of corn, so I'm not going to give them that kind of money for a commercialized feed. You need to come up with a feed too. So all that being said, the man by the name of Clifton Bradshaw, he helped me through a lot of things. At a young age of 19 years old, he turned me loose with his kid talking about, you said Baylor Bonham's age, picking me up, taking me to his show, being Mark Kopus. When I moved down there, I was 19 years old, and I was in charge of two kids. That was 12 and 16, and the mom and dad would stay home. I had to make motel reservations, enter the show calves at the show, take them to the show, fit them, and drive them home. And so there was a lot of growing up for me to do. It was basically like my college education. I was still attending college at the time. I made it 3.5 years, and finally decided I thought I was wasting my time. I kind of wish I would have finished as well, but when I look back, this is what I wanted to do, and I'm proud I chose what I chose. I wish I could have had some sort of justification of going 3.5 years of saying, hey, I got a diploma, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So, hey, both of you guys are kind of hoopy disciples. I know this will be a good one here. Tell us your best hoopy story. Wade, why don't you start?
There you go.
You got to give me. You're catching me on the spot here. The best. I do got the best one for sure. Travis Stenberg used to work there when I was there, and we actually stayed in the same place together. And Bob Ransom, I mean, anybody from the South at one point or another probably run across Bob Ransom.
Cocky.
And it was always hoopies. Just most famous go-to was to gas Ransom and Scary. And so me and Stenberg, we always played into that pretty good. Well, one day there was a cop that stopped along the highway Mark's got a highway that runs right along the front side of his place that goes right to the interstate. And me and Travis kind of dreamed up a deal to call Ransom and tell him that there was a guy from Wichita Falls by the name of Antoine that was on his way to get him. And leading up to this, he would prank call him and tell him that this was Antoine. And he'd try to sound like kind of a thug, you know. Anyway, this all happened. Well, he called him when the cop was outside, and they had like 4 of them swarmed down on him, pulled over on the side of the road, had him in handcuffs. Well, he called and said he was Antoine. He told him that he almost got him, that he was coming to get him. Well, in the meanwhile, Bob was there by, and he freaked out. He went and got a shotgun. Pam was at the house, hid in the shower. Pam comes out to the barn, and he's in a cold sweat, sitting in the shower in the barn with the curtain up, holding a shotgun. And Pam says, my Lord, Bob, what is wrong? He says, that Antoine, he almost got me. He said, if I was going to come across that field, I was going to blow the ass off of him with a shotgun. And that was about as good a story as I had while I worked there. I mean, we still laugh about it to this day. It was an all-time great one. So
That brought back good memories. I do remember that like it was yesterday.
Oh yeah, that one there was probably.
I do think I might have even have called Bob and played like I was Antoine once or twice.
Yeah, we had it leading up there, and it just happened that all just worked out just exactly right to mess with old Bobby. We loved him to death and still do to this day. He's a great guy. So, but it was funny.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Brandon? You got
I've got so many. It would take all night. We wouldn't have time. But I'm gonna the one that I always kind of go back to. If anybody knows Mark as well as Wade and I do, it was a one weekend show that I'll never ever forget as long as I live. And Mark has a sister. Her name is Jill, and she's the same age I am. Like I said, we grew up right beside each other. And also Mark and Pam, which is Mark's first wife, when they were not married at the time. Jill and I would have been 14, 13, 14, 15 at the most. I know we wasn't 15. We were probably 13 or 14. And we were at a steer show at Perry, Oklahoma. And anyway, we were staying at that motel right off the highway at Perry. And I've not seen a motel room like that since that day. But it was a motel room with 3 beds in it. And Jill had her own bed. I had my own bed. And Mark and Pam had their own bed. And they weren't married yet. And Mark was so worried about, Jill, don't you tell Mom and Dad that Pam and I slept in the same bed. And the weather was kind of a little shady looking, really, honestly. And we no more kind of got comfortable and bedded down, and hey, telephones started ringing. No cell phones back then. Horns started honking on vehicles. Phone rang in the motel room. Tornado is going to hit in less than 60 seconds. And Hoopy goes, Horn, you got to get up. We have got to go. I said, where are we going to go? He said, I don't know, but it's going to blow us away right here. And so we're all juggling and trying to get out of there. And when I left home, bottom line is I didn't have a dad, and my mom was a scatterbrain from losing her husband and trying to raise 3 boys. Hell, I was lucky just to make it, much less pack any clothes. So I had Pam's sweatpants on, and they come over my ears, and we were trying to all get in Mark's outside, revving up the engine, got the glass packs on the pickup, mufflers. If y'all knew Hoopy, he's always got to have the fanciest truck and the loudest muffler. He's popping off the mufflers. We got to go. We're going to get smoked. We're going to get smoked. And I'm trying to get my britches on. It was I'll never forget it as long as I live. And hopefully he's watching and he can remember that night, because I'm sure he's forgot about it. But we did, a tornado did come, but it did not hit our motel or the barn. Needless to say, the next day we left the show early too. I mean, we took a whooping. When I come out of the ring, I had the last calf showing. He had all the stuff thrown in the trailer, and I led the calf from the ring right into the trailer, and we were slinging gravel before he finished talking the class.
No.
So, anyway, I'll never forget that weekend as long as I live. So, like I said, I'd have been 13 or 14, and it was quite a wild experience for me in Perry, Oklahoma.
Oh my. Hey,
Yeah.
Let's get tied into some of these bulls. We started this thing a few weeks ago. We've started back with Bob May, and got to listen all about Sugar Ray. And hey, here we are today with you two, and get around to In God We Trust, and here I am. But it didn't just happen for you two with those two bulls. Brandon, when you got back in the cow business, you come back to the cow business, I guess, from the pig business where you made a big footprint. You didn't just go get a set of cows. It was, you kind of started and did your own deal. I've heard you tell the story. You give away a lot of show steers early on to get a heck of a good set of females. Why did you go the so-called hard way?
Well, I was not really. I was infatuated with the colored cattle, and if y'all will think back in those days, you could not pick up a sale catalog, or there wasn't such thing as online sales, and you didn't see. I love the terminology used from guys, say, north of Interstate 40, want to talk about a smoke. You couldn't go buy a smoky Charolais. They wasn't around every corner. And if you did, they were a Charolais Angus cross. And that's when Wade and I, that day out there in the gravel parking lot, about breeding those. Deanie Dillard is one of my all-time favorite guys and mentors that taught me a lot about how to evaluate breeding stock as far as the things that they possess to make them true generators, and the neat things you look for in the cattle that make them generate and to make them breed on, should say. So I actually, lack of finances and just was driven by what Rory Delm had taught me. Believe in what you do. Don't make it hard. Build them like a box and make them travel. And they don't have to have a fancy name. They need to be practical. And so with that being said, I found me a Charolais bull that I liked, just stumbled upon him, and I collected him. I bought him from Deanie Dillard. He bought him in a purebred Charolais sale. Somebody in Mississippi would have raised him. The pedigree meant nothing to me. I think I still have his pedigree. Anyway, the bull was really tricked out, neat neck, set out on the high side of his shoulder, come out high, and was really square hipped. Could use a shot of bone, and his belly was just nice. Learn what I learned from Rory Delm in the show pig industry when we were mating these sows and doing those things. Opposites attract, and the neat, you breed one kind of animal to a complete opposite of the other, and then the good things usually will prevail. With that being said, a stout looking maternal female with some bone and power to a really neat looking bull that was square and really neat through his front 1/3 and good feet and legs, but not the biggest bone. That's what I kind of built off of and started. With that being said, moved on to a bull called Solid Gold and learned from Phil Lautner. I know Wade worked for Phil on and off as far as when he was doing things when he first left Marks, and me and him had multiple conversations. Hey, you think I can make it? I said, sure you can. Believe in what you do and believe in the right things, and good things will come. Do the right things. You know right from wrong. We're all taught at a young age right and wrong. If you got to think long and hard, it's probably wrong. Go with your heart and what you believe. So with that being said, I had me a Charolais colored female that I had, and he happened to be open. My veterinarian that I met 6 to 8 months before that, he said, hey, he preg checked it. Hey, I've learned how to flush a cow. What about maybe flushing one of these things? I said, well, that's what I think in my mind's the best one. He said, I'll buy half of her. How much? I said, $1,000. He gave me $1,000 for that bull right there on the screen's mother. Paid me in cash. I was a wealthy man that day. And so the rest probably for what we did was, downhill from there, I should say. Got a couple of calves born. One of them would have been that clone bull right there's Donor, which would have been a steer that was a grand steer in 2008 in Houston. And he was a heat wave. Actually, he was a wave on wave. Heat wave one on our Charolais 10 Donor that I sold Dr. Dozer. And she was a Charolais main limousine. And so that kind of got the ball rolling for us. When that steer was the grand steer in Houston in 2008, I'd cloned him with the Phil Lautner had told me one time, and I was kind of taking notes in my head. He said, when you feel like you've raised the one that's the one, it's much cheaper and way easier to clone him than it is to try to raise another one that looks like that one. And so that's all I could think about. I was raising show pigs with Rory Delm, and we were selling show pigs, and that looked easy to me. A lot easier cloning him than it would be flushing the cow and making more of them. So I cloned him at 30, 45 days old, and it made this bull that we call Solid Gold. At that point, Vivant was a company on their own, and then Transova bought in with them, and to where now that's all done at Transova. But my contract with the Vivants, we cloned this animal to make 3 what they call copies. We call them calves. They called them copies. They delivered 1 copy, and then to fulfill their contract, they got us 4 more later. And then, 2 of those was regular price, and then 2 more was at a discounted rate. Okay. Those bulls went on to do great things for us and steal some of our very best females, and we still lay out of this bull that we call Solid Gold. But
when you got Solid Gold, I guess, is where you would consider you'd maybe made it just a little bit with what you were doing.
I don't know if we'd made it, but we thought we had something we thought was pretty cool.
What you thought you had, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Wade, what about you? I mean, do you remember that bull? Were you?
I actually got to see. Yeah, I got to see I think it was the calf. I think I was down there at that point in time. Maybe I got to see the one that they cloned, and he was way impressive. Yeah, for sure. And then I got to see the clones. What was their horn? Was there 3 of them? You said?
Yes, sir. There was ended up being 4.
There was 4. Okay.
Yeah. And
I got to see. I got to see all
his.
of them, and they were very impressive to look at as yearling bulls. And I got to see those. Yeah, very good. Yeah, but we got to move into a different story. How the first bull that me and Horn bought.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What was that?
That might have been the only disagreement me and you've ever had.
That's why I wanted to bring it up, because it was good. We really ain't never talked about it that much, but we had some. Well, Horn probably had more bad words to say than what I did, but it was all right. It was all good. It ended up all right, because I was kind of sorry for what I did, and I didn't realize I was doing wrong at the time. But I had bought a bull from Phil called the bull's name was Amico, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And you called him something else.
Ammo 388.
There you go. Yep.
Hey, how about that? And that would be business done right's mother's sire.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey, was that the one they called Ammo, a payback son?
He was an ammo that originated from Joel Jones out of a Charolais cow.
Okay.
Silver bull. Yep. Mm-hmm. Very impressive looking bull. Awesome structure. I bought him for my dad for just to turn out strictly, and I called Horn about him. I said, hey, this bull has really good calves. And Horn bought half of him for, I don't think it was, we didn't have to give much for him. And then Horn was using him. And, well, my dad had him for long enough, and we just split possession on him 50-50. And that Jerry Johnson had hit me up wanting to buy the spring possession of him. I didn't really think nothing of it, because we was about done with it. And I sold it to Jerry. And then Horn calls me one day, and I mean, he is madder than a hornet. I mean, mad at me.
I've been out of shape.
Yeah, he was. He called me a few things. It ended up all right. I told him I was sorry. I didn't realize that it was that big a deal. He must have been holding out on me a little. He had a little better stuff out of him than maybe what I thought he did. So it ended up good. We had a little discrepancy there and didn't talk for a little bit, but it all come back around pretty good.
Hoopy trained us the wrong way.
Hey, now you got to take good and bad from wherever you're at.
Yeah. That silent treatment's not necessarily the answer.
No, never. No, and we both do it.
Hey, Wade, on your cow side, that was it. What was Walks Alone's mother? She was a Miss Perfection daughter. What'd you call her?
Yeah, she went. I actually bought that cow as a virgin heifer off Barry Nowatzki. She was out of a draft pick cleanup bull, and then she went back to Kropa's full flush 602 cow. Me and Barry had done some trading, and she was just a fall heifer that was running up there, and I thought she was real impressive to look at. And we got her home. Her first calf was a Doc, which was one of my first bulls that I bought. I bought him off Mark Weber to turn out on heifers. And her first calf was a Doc, and I sold half interest in her in the first class female sale. I think the first or second year we had it for $30,000 for half, which was back then was very, very good. And then after that, we went to Flusher to Heat Wave, and I had Walks Alone. And then a year after that, I had a full brother to him named Believe in Me. And that's kind of, I mean, I had a couple bulls prior to that, but that's what got us started in the bull deal. That, you know, this is kind of what we were trying to chase after, and what we were wanting to do was make some things a little different, a little better. And you know, I've been raising stuff for a few years, and I still raise quite a bit of stuff now, but that's kind of where I got started. And then, you know, we've had several bulls after that, but that's kind of where we got going. So
Exactly.
What was it about In God We Trust? You know, we can talk about this, and I hope we can have you guys back on here again to kind of dig in some more of this. But in terms of In God We Trust, Corey tells this story, and it's kind of funny. He said, like, some of these guys, Bob May worked and got Sugar Ray's mother, and there was some little cool stories, but what's the story on In God We Trust? There's a video that got sent to me today that we'll play here in just a second and get to watch this bull. I mean, did Brandon, you tell, Wade tell? I don't care.
I can tell you it was gut feeling from me from the word go, and it was all probably to do with business done right. And I basically mated this bull out of confidence, faith to God that I wouldn't look like an idiot. Not many people know this story, but I business done right is a bull that I did not raise. I bred him basically, but I didn't raise him. I sold a bred heifer to Dr. Mims, $10,000, I think. And he had a real good calf, heifer calf maybe. And he said, what do you want me to breed this first calf heifer to? I said, anybody knows Dr. Mims knows this. I said, breed her to love in the business. If she has a bull, I'll buy it for a bull. Well, that's basically when you tell somebody like the quality of a man Dr. Mims is, it's set in stone. So I was with Kevin Newman looking at his club calves. Year and a half later, hadn't thought anything about it. He said, before you leave, I was with Tony Myers. He said, before you leave, you need to go out there to the country and get your bull calf. I says, what do you mean? He said, well, that heifer I bought from you, she had the heifer calf, and you told me to breed her back to loving the business. If she had a bull, you'd buy it. He said, it's weaned and out there. It's ready to be picked up. I said, well, is it any good? He said, it's not bad. Looks kind of like a purebred, but he's not bad. And I said, okay, fair enough. I will go out there and get him. I said, how much is he? He said, I don't know. Go look at him. Tell me what you think. I said, okay. So we finished looking at his club calves. That was in February, mid-February, into February, first part of March. Went out there to look. I couldn't really remember the bull other than I knew I was taking him home. He was a solid bull, but there was 2 females in that pen, and they ended up being 2 of his donors that he still sells embryos on. And he had called me prior to that and said, hey, how do I mate these cows? How do I mate this cow? And I said, breed her to Red Hawk. He said, what? I said, breed her to Red Hawk. It's a red and white bull that I bought from Earhart's in their steer sale, and they weren't castrated. And I left him a bull, and he had no shorthorn in him or very little. And the cow was his tank hoodoo cow, and mated with Red Hawk. He raised 229A and 229B, which is 2 of the cows he sells embryos on. I said, hey, price me one of those heifers. He said, not a chance. I don't want to sell them. I said, no, price me one of those heifers. He said, do you like the bull? I said, sure I do. How much is he? He said, he's $2,000. I said, how much is one of those heifers? Just pick which one you want to keep. I want the other one. He goes, I don't want to sell the heifers. I said, hey, you wouldn't have had them if it wouldn't have told you how to breed them. I want one. He said, they're not for sale. He said, give me $1,800 for the bull. I said, the bull's sold. I want him. So I bought business done right for $1,800, and I didn't get one of the heifers.
Oh, man.
I brought him home, was planning on putting him in my bull sale. And you have one of those gut feelings to where like, hey, this one's special. When my partner in Solid Gold, Dr. Dozer, semen checked him. He said, you'll sell half this bull? I said, not really. but I can put your name on him, but I don't really want to sell half of him. He said, I'd like to buy half this bull when he semen checked him. And so anyway, I collected him, tried to convince Dr. Mims how good he was, and he didn't really listen. And I said, I'll tell you what I think of this bull. I said, that 961 cow at your place? He said, yep. I said, however, you're fixing to flush her. Yeah, it's my cow. That's in God We Trust Mother, you guys. I said, what you can do, you take your recips that missed and your August calving group, if there's 10, 12, 16, 18, I've got enough confidence in this. You flush her to this bull that I call Business Done Right, that you raised, that I bred. I said, you flush her to that thing and you transfer every one of those things fresh. And I'll buy back the cows on all your repeat cycles, heat cycles, on your August calving. And I'll buy every one of those cows that you get pregnant. Well, we got 7 pregnancies, and In God We Trust was the very first one born out of that bull and that mating. And the day he was born, it's all by the grace of God, because I got to look at that animal, and these guys that raise a few of these calves, they can understand. Here you go. Right here's what you're seeing. That little red Angus. Wade can remember this because I did.
Oh, yeah.
He did give me enough. There's what I wanted you to see. He did give me enough for that bull. I did give him that red Angus recip. But I will tell you that right about that era, guys, and Wade can back me up on this, right about that era, pretty much the general public in their mind thought if you didn't have one that weighed 100 or let's say 90 pounds to 120, he probably wasn't a very good club calf. Well, me being trained by Rory D, the pig man, you know, you got to believe in what you got in your own stuff. Hey, this animal right here was born about 10 days to 2 weeks early, and he weighed closer to 70 than he did 80. And so I got to see that animal for 8 or 10 days, maybe 2 weeks before the rest of the flush was born. And it literally gives me cold chills to this day looking at that picture and video on how unique that animal was and how blessed we were to be able to raise that and tell you that it was by faith and what I believed would work to that cow on such an unproven $1,800 animal as the male side of it, and a female that I raised that I always thought had unique pieces, and all the way to the fact of telling him to all of his recycles that he had on his August calving group, go ahead and transfer then. I'll take these things born in October, and you need to be breeding to this bull because that's how much confidence I have and I think this thing will generate on this animal that you raised at your place. So I kind of bowed up telling him this bull's going to work. So you need to be breeding to him. And this is what I got, the very first animal born. And when he landed on the ground and that first part of that video there where he had his head up walking away with those big old feet, and one of the very first people to look at the animal was Eric Drager, and he says, "What are you going to do with that thing?" I said, "I don't know, but it's going to be special."
It sure was when he priced it too.
Yeah.
You said it was.
Yeah.
He didn't know.
You showed me a video of him. Where was we at, Horn?
I don't remember that. I remember showing you the video, but I don't remember where we were at.
Yeah, I don't
Fort
even.
Worth.
Anyway,
Fort Worth.
I think it was Fort Worth, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
And then I flew down there directly after that to look at him. And,
The real Godfather Newman told him, I said, "Hey, I need your help."
yeah.
He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You need to tell Wade to buy this bull." he said, I'll make it happen.
Yeah, he
The
did.
rest is history.
Yeah.
Hey, and then we're gonna. It was a special animal for sure, but we're gonna wind this deal up, Wade. Talking about another special one in your bull battery. A bull that has had dramatic impact on our country up here, the Here I
Yep.
Am bull.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about, obviously bred by Tracy Gretzka. There's a lot of them brothers over the years.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about what you saw in that animal. What made him stick out in your mind at Tracy's that year, and you had been promoting walks alone, had some success with that bull, and kind of what you saw there.
Once we started doing this bull deal, the main objective of what we're trying to do is to make each generation of what you're trying to produce better than the last, and walks alone was a very unique animal in terms of his upper hip structure, his neck, his muscle, his power, real good feeding cattle. I mean, he was like a true cow changer. You could breed him to a recip and you could get something that was pretty nice, but we needed to make his back feet better. We needed to make his shoulder design just a little better, and that is kind of what we were looking for, in the next generation of what we were trying to do. And Tracy had called me, and he knew I was wanting to kind of get into the bull deal, and I just, felt at the time that's where the good Lord was kind of guiding you in your life of what to do this and what to do that. But we went down there and looked at him, and like Horn said, at that time in the heat wave era, the cabin difficulties on some of those bulls was crazy. And that's another real unique thing about Here I Am. Joe Pfeiffer actually raised the bull, which was a partner of Tracy's, and he was born, I think, 2 or 3 weeks early enough that he didn't have any hair when he was born. And I ain't too sure he didn't weigh closer to 60 pounds, high 50s. I mean, he was a little bitty guy when he was born because he was so premature. And, you don't know, you think that that's the way it'll be after the fact, but it's very interesting how truly cabinese these two bulls are compared to what we were dealing with before. Because, I mean, the predecessors before them, Monopoly, Heat Wave, you could get some birth weight out of those bulls. But at that time, it didn't probably bother people as much because we was all kind of swinging for the fence and wanted the one that everybody wanted to buy. But I went down to Tracy's and looked at him, and I was absolutely blown away with him as I was when I seen In God We Trust. Just, it's just kind of what we've been looking for in terms of their build and their structure and their balance and their look, and, the features in their skull and their ear set and hair quality on both of those bulls was absolutely incredible. I got to see, there was 2 or 3 other bulls out of the same cow, but this is the one that I, myself was looking for in terms of his build. And, it looked like he had a lot of generating value. And, and after that, what's crazy is probably the last, at least 5 to 8 years, I've bought cows to build around these 2 bulls, in terms of being able to generate. Like Horn said, if you want to knock on the Here I Ams, they can be a little softer bodied for sure, but their look, their upper skeleton design, their structure, how square they are, both of those bulls are, very, very sought after. And, you kind of breed In God We Trust to just a little bit prettier looking cow, and you breed Here I Am to just a little bit softer looking cow. And that's, it's all about mixing and matching, like Horn said earlier. And that bull just, he blew me away at birth. And actually, I got to go see him. I went to the bull stud today, and I hadn't really taken the time to look at him. I looked at him and In God We Trust, and it's, it's crazy how they've aged. I think Here I Am was born in 2014.
Ingalli Trust is 2014.
What's that?
The Ingalli Trust is October.
October, and I think Here I Am was born in the spring. Is that right?
I do know Ingalli Trust is October the 10th or 12th of 2014.
Yeah. And then, another thing that we haven't talked about on those two bulls, and it's absolutely outstanding, because I don't want to share what Here I Am has produced at the bull stud, but it's overwhelming. I mean, and another thing that's overwhelming on those two animals for their birth weight is their semen quality it's been outstanding what those bulls have been able to do. And even in their predecessors before with semen quality, on the club calf side has been a little bit of an issue and birth weights and this and that. And that's what's so spectacular about those two bulls is their semen quality, their birth weight, and their next level of quality, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I think that's interesting, Wade. You hit on something there. From a breeding standpoint, I think a few people out there would maybe assume that you're just a trader, and I hate to say it like that, but I think that's maybe a little bit of an assumption. But
for sure.
People have no clue the amount of cows that you run.
We run about 160 cows, and it's that's something that in my deal that was probably my true passion in the whole deal, and probably still is today. That's probably what I enjoy the most is trying to produce these things, because it's, as anybody knows, Corey being up there at 605, that the cost and how hard it is to get elite livestock it's still tough to this day. I mean, and now we've progressed so much. I think there's so many cattle out there that are good, but they have to be way next level good at this point in time in what we're doing, because we're getting them. And I don't want to use the term perfect, because that's something you tread on lightly, but we're getting them pretty close to where the top end of those, there ain't just a lot you would want to change on them, in my opinion. I mean, it's crazy how good that we're getting some of these show steers, in my opinion, of what we've progressed with. You all think that you can go back and maybe try to breed some of those old bulls like that we've talked about, but until you do,
try that one time.
Yeah, exactly. Until you do go do something like that, you're like, man, I can't believe how much that this thing has progressed, and how good some of these really are, and how, consistencies has always been an issue with quality over the years, but I think it's narrowing the gap, and how many of them are good, and how many out there that are, that are high quality.
No, it's trapping lightning in a bottle for sure.
Yeah,
it's not for the weak at heart.
No.
Do you guys feel like, as being breeders and cattlemen yourself, do you think that this bull business, Wade, did you get into the bull business because you felt a need for the industry, or did you get into it because it's like Legos and building blocks and say, you know what?
I would say it's a little more like that for me. And I don't, I'm going to pick on P-Bar just a little bit here. He was a man of his word, and he was a good guy, but he did fib a little bit on there the other night when he said that what he made compared to what I made was a drop in a bucket. But, I'll put it this way. I always chased after the dream and not necessarily the money. I always had an envision of what, you kind of wanted to do, and what you wanted to do with your breeding stock. And that's what made me get into the bull deal, because I always thought a guy could maybe try and do better than what was going on, And what I have is no doubt about it. It's a God-given talent. I mean, it's, and I'm not near as talented as a lot of people that do it, but what we do, that's what we try to achieve each generation is to continue to get better. So.
Right.
Well said.
Brandon, you sent me a video earlier, and I mean, there's no doubt you guys have the two of the popular bulls today. But what's very unique about you guys is it's almost like you're not satisfied. And I don't mean that nothing's ever good enough, but the Lego and the building block says we can improve. Both of you guys are after that next generation. And Brandon, as busy as you were today, you took a minute and sent me a video of a bull, and it was like, holy smokers, what is this?
Not many people know about him.
Well, there's some going to know about him tonight.
Hey, I've been wanting Wade to see this thing. Maybe he can take the time out and look at this.
I've been trying to get down there. It's just a little rough right now, Horn.
Yeah.
What do we got here, Brandon? The next generation. Tell us a little bit what we got.
That bull's he's an In God We Trust on a Monopoly yellow jacket Angus cow. He's triple clean, and you were asking Wade, the next, it's kind of like building Legos or the next step, or is this what you envision? Well, I can be real honest with y'all. All I envisioned with my Western Oklahoma uneducated self was just try to get the bills paid. And so, however it meant on non-lying, cheating, or stealing, because that's how most Okies are noted, as per se to Rory Delm says, that's what they teach us in the second grade, to lie, cheat, and steal. So he said, I about got all the Okie kicked out of this horn, but he is doing better. And so we just try to keep the bills paid and try to do the right things when called upon. So I feel like it's not necessarily building Legos at my house. It's and honestly, and Wade can tell you the same thing at his house. And he basically kind of touched on it without saying it. But this cub calf industry is so unique and so hard to build them like we're trying to build them. And we've got them real close to being as good as what we think they are. And then we've got guys that, including ourselves, that pick on them so much that is pretty much these bulls and these females are kind of what pays our bills. These steers, hey, they're kind of a wash. They're kind of like running a dairy. Lots of labor, looking for more of it, the labor part, and just trying to make it work, taking up most of your day. And I don't feel like I can do as good a job of breeding cattle because we're trying to make these steers so dadgum good. And hopefully we're not spinning our wheels. I feel like, and Chad Chaplin told me once, this one time, and I feel like that it happens in my life more times than it don't when I'm so focused on one thing, and I think that's what I need to be focused on. And my peers that's passed on in the good Lord above is looking down at me, and they're saying, hey, boy, you're plowing the wrong field. What are you doing over there? And I have yet to figure that out until it's too late most of the time. But so many times I wonder in my mind, am I really plowing the right field? So a lot of times I don't sit down enough and evaluate what's good, what's bad. I just keep rolling and let the good outweigh the bad and try to focus and go in that direction. That poses paying the bills.
There you go. Good.
So, and that evolves around what we're talking about tonight. And that is I have a different approach than what Wade has. My approach is, hey, here's what we got. We're not very good at promoting or marketing it. And I promote and market it about like Wade answers his telephone. Not very good. I tell them, if you really want to know about them, drive down here and look at them. I'll show them to you, or I'll show you where they're at. But we're busy and we don't do very good at picturing and video. So,
and that being said, on promotion, we try to promote the best we can and do what we can. But at the end of the day, I think both of us agree on this, me and Horn. The bull's the one that's got to do the promoting. I mean,
no doubt.
The offspring's got to do the promoting. I mean, you can only, you can tell people so much if they ask for your opinion, but neither one of us ever get real crammy about trying to tell people that, this is this or that's that. We tell them what we think and what works at our place. And I think both of us are similar in that terms of,
for sure,
promoting and advertising, as opposed to, some people that do different things. That's just kind of our path. The bull has to prove himself, and we can share what we see and share what we do, and hopefully help, everybody out, in what we're doing, and try to sell them a genuine product that we truly think does work.
Right. Brandon, before we wrap up here, I remember early on in your horn livestock career, you got interviewed one time by a guy, and he asked you how to use your bull. Do you remember that?
Like it was yesterday.
I was wanting to hear all about it, and your response was, well,
hey,
sure helps. What'd you say?
Matt, it was Matt Popelka was running the camera, and he started laughing so loud I was surprised they got the interview finished. But he asked me, some gentleman from West Virginia, I think, at the Belt Buckle Bonanza in about 2010, maybe 9, 10, 11, 12 maybe. That was 12 or 13, somewhere in there. He said, so how do you make solid gold? How's the best way to make that bull? And I said, the main thing is when we made him, it's just they have a good solid sound, good standing heat. And that's, if they got a good solid heat and they stand good, we breed him. Pretty much, he gets to breed them all. So I said, that's the main thing. The rest of it, that bull can handle the rest.
Yeah,
and probably back in the day, there was probably more truth to that than what I probably was leading on for it to be.
Yeah, it was. It's still my favorite answer on how to breed a bull.
Yeah.
Good.
Make sure they're in heat.
Yeah. Guys, hey, we are going to wrap this thing up. And I know we just hit on the edges of two industry giants, yourself and your bulls leading the way today. But we are going to wrap this thing up tonight. We're going to wrap it up with Cattlemen's for Christ. We do it each time. Shout out to John Griswold, new Matthew 7:12. Last week he was quick draw McGraw on the text message. It's the golden rule. So I told John I would, whoever was first, I'd tell him. But this week we're going with Psalms 37:3. Trust in the Lord and do good. Live in the land and farm faithfulness. I think that ties pretty tight with what both of you guys said on breeding these things. Some of y'all's decisions were done on faith and being faithful in the land. And congratulations to both of your success. Real quick, be quick, Horn. I'll make you go first. What's the one thing in this business that's meant the most to you at this point?
The relationships, for sure.
Okay.
The relationships, the people that we've met. I'll leave you with one thing. He says it all the time. I don't know really if he means it or not, but I got to give him the credit because he's the one that says it. But Brent Cromwell, before he hangs up, every time we talk, he says, "Hey, Bush, keep it real." I said, practice what you preach.
That's right.
So I'm going to say, keep it real.
There you go.
The words of Brent Cromwell.
Wade, what about you? You're a lot like Horn. You've done a lot. What sticks out?
I mean, probably also, relationships. It is a struggle at times, in what we do, balancing your faith with your business. But that's something that I try to thrive after as much as I can when the moment's presented to you, to talk about the Lord and stuff with people. I do try to do that. I don't do it as much as I should, but that's something that I try to incorporate in my business. And the relationships that you can form from that and through that, it's truly amazing. So that's kind of where we're at as well with that.
Good. Corey, wrap this thing up, man.
Well, guys, this has been quite a climax to the end of this deal in terms of what Brett and I have done. This has sure been a big hit. Just hearing the histories of these great sires of the industry, the past 5-6 weeks here, it's been unbelievable. Guys, thanks for being part of it. Thanks for what you do for the cattle industry in general, and thanks for being on Cattle Drive Live.
Next week,
I want to thank.
We're going to hear from some breeders. We're going to hear from a few breeders that use these bulls, that have used some of them from the past, that use them today, and what goes in on a breeder's standpoint of what they look for from you guys. And so
That'll be great.
Weeks, the end of it, the series, we're going to listen to the guys that use the juice.
Hey, I want to thank Brandon Callis for sending you those pictures and videos, because I panicked this morning with so much on my plate. And I've got a new telephone, and that was like a major stepping stone for me. With 12,000 pictures in my old phone, and me not being very savvy on the technology. And so I had to reach out, and I knew from time to time Brandon Callis would send me that picture of solid gold as a calf. So I knew he had that on his phone. He's the first guy I thought of when you texted me this morning, Brett. And you said, do you have any pictures of calves of any of these bulls? And I'm thinking, really? It's 108 today, man. I'm trying to save these baby calves' lives. I do not have time to go back in archives and get you any pictures and videos. So rather than explain that to you, I just screenshot your text and sent it to Callis. He said, I got you covered.
He did.
So
I thought y'all were riding together. It was
shout out to him, and I appreciate him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, thanks. We appreciate it. We appreciate you taking time out of your evenings. Nobody's busier than Brandon Horn. Just asking.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me.
Come down here and we'll show you.
That's